Welcome to the comprehensive review of the ResMed Airmini. Shout out to Cheap CPAP Supplies for hooking me up with this so I could do this product review and bring you valuable insights and lessons and hopefully helpful information that helps you in your CPAP journey. So thanks a lot, Cheap CPAP Supplies. I really appreciate it. I will link to them below and you can check them out for yourself. I want to start off by saying that you don't need this machine, the Airmini. It is very small. I love it. I think it's really cool. But you don't need a machine like this. Want and need are very different things, and I think this is important in a review. There are some things we do need. We need good CPAP therapy. So as far as traveling with sleep apnea, honestly, you don't need the Airmini. I personally have traveled the world with my standard machine.
Heading back to the airport.
So was it annoying to lug it around the world? Yes. It's at the time I would have loved to have a much smaller form factor machine like the ResMed Airmini, but the point is I was able to travel with this machine pretty much no problem. So I traveled around the world with my standard machine. And the thing is, these weren't vacations either most of the time. These were domestic travel and international travel. And the international travel, I was leading trips, very intense trips, 12, 16-hour days, leading groups. The point is, in order to travel the world with sleep apnea, you don't need a machine this small. That being said, I would have loved to have a machine this small just because as someone who likes to pack light, or as light as I can, depending on the circumstances, a machine like this would have made it much, much nicer when traveling all around. Just one less thing, a few less pounds compounded over weeks of travel do make a huge difference. Anyways, let's dive into it. Pros and cons, all the things you want to know about the ResMed Airmini. So here's the main thing about the ResMed Airmini. It's designed for travel. It's designed as a travel machine. So that being said, you have to keep that in mind when thinking about the pros and cons. So all the decisions seem to have been made by ResMed geared towards people who want to travel with sleep apnea, which makes sense to me. This is a specific subset of people with sleep apnea. Some people are traveling less. If you're someone who's traveling around a lot and don't want to lug a machine that in my personal machine, takes up about this much space and it's like 5 to 7 pounds, this machine makes a lot of sense for you. All that being said, I want to get into the details. So first of all, as I said, let's pull this baby out. As I said, it's all about size, a form factor. The machine itself is quite small. It fits in the palm of my hand. It's got a sleek design, and there's no, you can't even interface with the machine besides on and off without using the built-in app. So, this is it, right? If you compare that to the machine you're usually using with standard machine, it's a quarter of the size, I would say, and it weighs, I'll get the exact weight and I'll put it up on the screen because I didn't pull that up. Okay, so you've got the machine. Initially, so here's the thing. Initially, and this is a smart business move, but a very annoying consumer move, in my opinion. Initially, this was a very smart business move on ResMed's part, but to me, a very annoying move for us consumers. You could only use 5 masks with the machine. Since having released it, they have someone has made an adapter so you can plug almost any mask into this machine. But just know that when you're trying to buy the different products that go along with this, you may not need to purchase their proprietary equipment that goes along with it. You may be able to use it with your mask. There are too many masks out there on the market for me to tell you every single one that works or doesn't work. The main thing to keep in mind when looking into can I buy this machine, if you're sold on it, whatever, is to check with manufacturers and doctors, can this machine support the level of therapy, CPAP therapy, that you need? Because, this hose is different than the hose you might be using, and this machine pushes out a certain level. I believe the highest it goes is 20, and I think there are people out there on a higher dose, in quotes, of CPAP therapy. So that's something to look into. I wouldn't jump in and just buy the adapter and slap your hose onto it, because you want to make sure you're getting the right settings. That being said, they have, with this adapter, the possibility to plug in, a bunch of other masks to this, which is great. Okay, jumping right into the pros and the cons. The pros of this machine: travel. I mean, I've already mentioned this, but this machine was designed for you to be able to travel with the lightest possible form factor. So that's the biggest pro. I would love, so if we check out, so the amount of space taken up, because this is how I pack. Obviously, I'm not bringing the user manuals, so the amount of space taken up by this is significantly less and much lighter than your usual machine. So that is obviously the number one pro of this machine. And that to me is actually pretty huge. Some people don't care about that, and that's fine. But if that's one of your biggest priorities, that's a pretty big pro. So thinking about a couple different types of travel, there's flying, and we'll get into that in a few minutes, but people talk about backpacking. Can I use it for backpacking? So we're going to get to this in the cons section of this machine, but it is not battery powered. So you would need to get an additional battery to power it. Perhaps a future model will make it battery powered, but at this point you do have to plug it into the wall, which in the advertising, let's be honest, is a little deceptive, because you see this small, beautiful machine and you think, oh wow, like it's a travel machine. It must be wireless or cordless, and that's not the case. So keep that in mind as well. Another pro, some people really don't care about this. I actually do. Aesthetics, I think that those matter. Having a machine that looks good and doesn't feel like I'm in a hospital, that matters to me. I don't like feeling like I'm a patient in a hospital, and I think for people who are dating and let's say it's that first time sleeping over, I have seen this in CPAP forums, people talk about this, bringing your big chunky machine and being like, here's my giant mask, versus bringing something like this, I think feels a little less intimidating. So that to me is a pretty big pro. One of the other pros of this machine is the auto on, auto off feature. So you put up you put it on, and once you start breathing, it'll turn itself on. They tout this pro of it auto off. So if you take the mask off, it'll know based on the pressure that you are not wearing it. So it'll turn itself, the machine will turn off. I think that's cool. I personally don't use that feature because I don't want to wake my wife up every time I take my mask off. And if I take my mask off and I'm just lazily like letting the air like make that loud sound, it's going to wake her up. So I always press the button to turn off my machine. Again, if you live alone, sleep alone, or don't care about your partner's sleep, then this could be a cool feature like, oh, I don't even have to press a button. So, a pro. Here's the other thing about this machine. If you don't need to use humidity, honestly, this is the perfect machine for you. It's small. It's actually not that even, it's at least last I checked, it's not that expensive. But if you don't need humidity, it's great. We're going to get to the humidity section in a minute, though, because it can be a pretty big con if you do need humidity. I'm going to talk about the humidification system that they have created or sort of patented for this machine in a minute. So those are the pros of this machine. I think it's pretty amazing. It's very small. This is it next to my face. Okay, getting to the cons of this machine. So initially one of my cons for the Airmini was that it only worked with a handful of masks, which felt kind of sucky for those who had a full face mask or weren't even using ResMed before. So again, this has been solved by the introduction of an adapter, and it just you need to consult your sleep doctor to make sure that it works with your therapy level. Once you start adding adapters and changing pressure settings, that's where you need to consult the experts, the registered experts. So, humidification. So this is what they've done to figure out how to have no water chamber in your CPAP machine. So you've got the mask part of it. This is what I use. I use the nasal pillows. And then you've got this little chamber. I shouldn't call it a chamber, but you've got this little section here. And in that goes what they call the Humidex system. And it's so you basically just unscrew this. You put that in there, and then you put it back on. This is so I don't have it. I saw another review where they had an issue with like this thing is like sitting on your face. I don't care about that. I sleep on my side. Most people, a lot of people with sleep apnea should be sleeping on your side anyway because it prevents the obstruction of your airway. So my biggest issue with this system, this is called a heat moisture exchange. So if you can see this, I'm going to back that up. If you can see this, it's just this little circle, and the way it works, from my understanding, is you breathe into it, it traps moisture, and then uses that same moisture to humidify your throat. So when I use this, some people use this no problem. I've seen it on forums and my research. Some people they're like, it's great. Or some people just don't even need humidity. I do need it personally, so if you're in that category, I'm speaking to you. This does not, like, you get a little bit of humidity. It tastes horrendous. I tried this. This is not an exaggeration. I tried this for 1 minute. I put the machine on. I was breathing with this thing in. I tried it for 1 minute, and I had this disgusting taste in my mouth for a full day. I went and brushed my teeth numerous times. Now that I remember, this was a few months ago. I went and brushed my teeth numerous times, and I had that taste in my mouth for a day. So I immediately wrote off the idea of using humidification, this HME, heat moisture exchange system. I tried to contact ResMed about the humidification on this machine. I have a clip. I'll roll that right now.
Thank you for calling ResMed. If you are experiencing a life-threatening emergency...
As I said, I was not able to get through to them. And then going on their website, I'm looking at it right now. They have an FAQ section, and it says, I'm having issues with my Airmini and need help. Who should I contact? The CPAP equipment store where you purchase your Airmini is responsible for providing you with ongoing clinical support, including answering any questions and helping you resolve any issues that you may be experiencing with your Airmini machine or settings. Blah, 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 blah. So I guess that's legit. I guess I could contact the appropriate party. It just feels a little bit like ResMed, like, you made the machine. I have a question about the machine. I don't have a question about purchasing, etc. So I immediately wrote off the idea of using humidification, this HME, heat moisture exchange system. So that being said, can you use this without humidification? I personally need to have humidification, otherwise I don't sleep well. And this is obviously the end game, right, is to be able to sleep well. So I've looked at a couple different options for what you can do. So there are travel humidifiers. To me, that's sort of pointless because then you're adding more weight to your travel bag. But maybe there's some small ones that exist that will make your life easier and are smaller. But to me, that's just an extra thing. It's like, well, just take your standard machine, right? Someone out somewhere online, I saw that you could take a wet towel and like put it near your machine. I think that's probably good in a pinch, but I strongly doubt that that's going to give you the necessary humidification that you need. So I don't know if I could make this my main machine because of that, or if I could even like travel with it because of that. I'm going to need to do some more trial tests with it to see what's possible as far as the humidification. So that's humidification for you on the... Another con for this is the lack of a memory card. So I know I'm not one of these people, but some people like to be able to analyze their own data. They take the card out of their machine, they put it into Sleepyhead, or there's another one whose name I'm forgetting, and they can analyze their own data and look at, what they've got going on. So there's no memory card, which means you don't have access to the full data. You do have access to, ResMed's version of the data, which they've taken this like point system, and it's nice. It gives you like a nice sort of baseline metric. It's good if you're showing it to your neurologist or your sleep doctor and they say, okay, you've got 100 score today, or you got an 80, whatever. So it's a nice way to like have a dipstick. It's not detailed though. So if you are one of the people who loves to nerd out on the data, which I was at one point, it's just no longer a priority for me. I get enough solid night's sleep that I'm not interested in the minutia of it. But if you're one of those people, this machine doesn't let you do that, which kind of sucks. But there might be a way to hack the data. I don't know. There probably is, but that's beyond the scope of this review. So some people say this machine is noisy. It is louder by a little bit than my standard machine, but I don't think it's warrants writing it off. I'll insert a clip here of what it sounds like, so you can hear for yourself. To me, it's not a prohibitive sound. It's not something that's going to make me say I don't want to buy this. In that vein, people have talked about, can you use this on an airplane? It's going to wake other people up. People are going to get annoyed with me. I do think there's a sense of not wanting to be intrusive, especially when you have to wear this weird mask on your face and so on. Airplanes are really loud, so I don't think the whisper of the Airmini is going to cause a problem on an airplane. Which takes me to my next point about traveling with this on an airplane. I wrote a comprehensive post about traveling with sleep apnea. I'll link to it below. I would say this machine will make it so you can travel on an airplane much more easily. I mean, I don't know how taking a standard machine, like where you would put that on your lap. And the other thing is this, you could put on your lap, or attach it to the armrest. It comes with you can buy an attachment that lets it hook onto things. You don't ever want your sleep apnea machine on the floor, because then you're pulling any dust or dirt or debris into the filter system. You just don't want that. You don't want to be breathing that. So I could see this being great on airplanes. Have not tested it yet, but that day is coming. I want to talk about some peripheral equipment and goodies and extras that can go along with this machine. So there is a hard case you can buy for the machine. Personally, adding more to the price tag seems silly to me, but know that there is a sort of sleek design for that case, and it can be something you might want to throw into the bundle. There is a bed mount kit, as I said, that can attach this to your bed, so it's not floating around. It doesn't have the weight that you need to sort of keep it stable on a table. Rhyme not intended. So that piece actually to me seems like a pretty important thing to get if you're considering this machine. Some people who are doing things like camping or want to... You know what? I'm going to be honest. There's a DC to DC converter for cigarette lighters. I don't know a situation where you would use this because I'm not like an RV or camping person, but I imagine if you have a power supply that's powering your car or your RV camper, that converter, plugging into a cigarette lighter could be something that you might want to get if you're sort of like a car traveling RV type of person. So setting up the machine, and also using the app. I'm going to put a screen recording above, but here's your machine. This goes here. This is the power adapter. It's plugged into the wall over there. Take the hose, That baby goes in there. And then, of course, you could just press the power button if you wanted to. And the machine starts working, as you can hear. Okay, so now I'm going to dive into the app because it's cool. You can turn on the machine with your phone. I don't personally recommend this. I don't think anyone should really sleep with their phone next to their bed. I know this is probably like a ridiculous idea to a lot of you, but personally, I keep my phone in another room because sleep is sleep and everything else is everything else. So, but anyways, you can power this machine with your phone. So, I'm gonna start screen recording so you can. Cool. So as you can see from looking at this, I've got my prescription set. 5 to 20 is my pressure. If you hit start, machine starts. I'm now going to hit stop. Machine stops. It's also really fast. So this has been connected through Bluetooth. If I click on options, you can set your ramp time to auto, how long it takes your machine to increase to your prescribed pressure. You cannot change it during therapy. Pressure relief reduces the pressure as you breathe out, blah, blah, blah. Smart start your therapy automatically when you breathe into your mask. Smart stop, I talked about this earlier. So these are cool. You can also turn them off if you don't want them. So dashboard, you can see how much therapy, etc. Cool. You can also upload your data to the cloud, which is pretty cool. Okay. The Airmini. Once you've gotten set up, it's pretty simple. This is not a setup tutorial, so you can figure that out, or I will post, if you really want it, I'll post a separate one for you. All right. Machine is ready and connected. So here's the thing. If I do a little demo for you, so I put this on. Usually I don't have these glasses on when I sleep. So this is no humidity in here. This looks great. It looks really cool. So it started therapy without me doing anything. So I'm gonna come real close to my microphone. I'm gonna pull out my mic so you can hear this. This is if you are right here. This is the mic. So that's what it sounds like. It's really hard to talk with this thing on. Stopping therapy. Oh, restarting therapy. So I'm now going to show you how it does the auto stop feature. So you wake up. So you wake up and you take it off. You don't press stop, but it blows for a good 5 seconds or more, which is pretty annoying. But whatever. I mean, this is pretty cool technology. So, anyways, in a nutshell, that's the machine, and those are the settings. Okay, I'm stopping the screen recording now. 3, 2, 1, stop. Okay, cool. Should you buy this machine? Here's my opinion. If you travel a lot, don't need humidification, or are okay with the Humidex system, yes, this machine is awesome. I think you should buy it. However, on the flip side, if you really don't travel that much, you don't need this machine. And even if you do travel it, as I said at the beginning, you don't need this machine. So this machine is geared towards a very specific subset of people. You know, those people who are traveling a good amount and really dislike having to lug around that extra few pounds and space in their luggage, especially if you need to pack light. I was reading a forum, someone was talking about, going on a motorcycle trip where you really had to keep a minimalist mindset around your belongings. So that is a great example of an extreme situation versus, air travel. Generally speaking, you're fine with your standard machine. You don't necessarily need this. Should you want this machine? It's different than if you feel like you need this machine. Honestly, no one needs this machine except for maybe that one motorcycle traveler that I read about in a forum. But reasons to want this machine are a good amount, and it's small, it's sleek. It will save you the headache of carrying around your standard machine. So should you buy this? At the end of the day, for all my reviews, this is the answer. It really depends on your situation and what, your needs and wants are. Personally, I think it's great. I think they've created a great product. I don't think it fits all the needs for everyone. I really dislike the humidification situation. I hope that they figure out some sort of trick in the future. If I figure out something that works differently in the future, I'll let you know. Or if maybe the Humidex does end up working for me, I will also update, the comments section of this video. But overall, broadly speaking, I think this is a great product that is worth investing in, if it fits your needs and wants for your given situation, which I've already gone over. I want to talk about price point a little bit. I think this is reasonably priced. The highest end of the range, and there's no point in me saying this because this changes all the time, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The highest end of the range that I've seen is around $1,000, and then the lowest I've really seen with a few discounts is $650, somewhere in there, which is pretty darn good. So I think that's reasonable, generally speaking. Again, it's really subjective. Some people that's an exorbitant amount of money. Some people that's pocket change. So again, it's all about your situation. I don't think there's a one size fits all in these kind of things. So one of my questions for you, I'd like to do a little comment section prompt. What has been your best or worst travel experience as a person with sleep apnea, or maybe as a person someone you love has sleep apnea? So yeah, put your stories below. I'd love to hear them. So check out this next video that I made. I think that you'll enjoy it if you enjoyed this video and if it was helpful. And I will see you in your dreams.